Good morning, everyone. It's nice to be with you on this Friday morning. A little bit cooler this morning, which is probably a welcome relief for most of us, since it's been so hot. I'd like to just share with us this morning a phrase that you may have heard over your life, and this is the phrase, "You are my rock, you are my rock." Usually that sentence is used in a relational context. It may be with, sadly, somebody whose husband or wife has died, and they will say of them, "Do you know, he was my rock. I'm really going to miss that person because they were like a rock to me." Or maybe somebody who's gone through an illness for a long period of time, and they've had a friend that has been there for them all the time, and they'll use that phrase, "He's my rock." Or, maybe you remember somebody that, you loved, a parent, like a mother or a father that's passed away, and you will say of them, "They were like a rock to me. They were always there." And so we hear that phrase sometimes, you are my rock. And when you read 2 Samuel chapter 22, you read about how David was going through a pretty difficult time. He was on the run from Saul. He was finding life quite difficult. It seemed like everything else around him was giving way beneath his feet. It seemed like everyone was against him. People were after him. People were seeking out his life to kill him. And yet in all of that, he realized that he still had the call of God on his life, and he still had that sense of God being with him. And in 2 Samuel 22, verses 3 and 4, or right there at the beginning of that chapter, David says these words, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold and my refuge." Twice in those verses, David recognized, and he said these words, "The Lord is my rock, my God, my rock." And I think that that's something that we can really take great assurance from today in our lives, that God is a rock beneath our feet, that we can use that phrase about God. He's a rock to me. He is someone who we can hide in. There's an old hymn, we used to sing it when we were kids, probably don't sing it much these days, but it says, "Rock of ages cleft for me, let me hide myself in thee." A good old-fashioned timeless hymn. But that's so true, isn't it? That God is the rock of ages, cleft for me, let me hide myself in thee. And today God is the one who is our rock. He is a rock to us. We can stand on him. He is a sure foundation beneath our feet. I don't know if you've ever been on holiday to somewhere like Wales or Scotland, and you've stood on a rock looking down a sheer drop. And sometimes I've stood on certain rocks. I remember we went to Cornwall once, and you could look down the cliff, probably 400 or 500 feet to the sea, breaking on the rocks below. And there was this rock that stood out, and it'd probably been there like hundreds and hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. And you went out and you stood on this rock that sort of hung over the edge of the cliff. And I can remember, my mum and my dad saying, "Come back, come back." But that rock was a sure foundation on my feet. I could stand on that rock and I could look down at the waves breaking on the rocks below. I could almost look down at all the stuff that was going on below. But beneath my feet, I was standing on a rock that had been there for centuries. And David said those words of God. He says, "You are my rock. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer." And I just want to encourage all of us this morning to really see God as the rock beneath our feet today. He is the one that we can stand on. God is the one that will never give way beneath our feet. He is that sure foundation, and that is absolutely amazing for us today. And David wrote those words, "The Lord is my rock." He experienced in the most difficult of times in his life that God was the rock beneath his feet. I remember, and I'm just going to finish with this little story, that one harvest time years and years ago, I was about 14 years old, and I was driving the tractor back to the farm on the last day of harvest, and I thought, I'll be a bit clever, and I reversed the tractor really fast. It was an open top tractor, in other words, it didn't have a cab on it, and I reversed it so fast that I reversed it right into a very deep ditch, and the tractor tipped upside down. And the seat that I was sitting on had the full weight of the tractor on top of it. Do you know, when I reversed that tractor into that ditch, and as I was going down into that really deep ditch, suddenly something lifted me off the seat and threw me onto the concrete pad that I was on reversing the tractor, and I was completely unharmed. In fact, I didn't even have a scratch on my body. If I had have gone into the ditch on that tractor, I would have died, no doubt about it, because of the way the tractor ended up. But it was like one of those few miraculous moments in my life where something lifted me from that seat and took me to that concrete pad. I believe that day that God saved my life. I believe he literally lifted me up and he put me onto that concrete pad, and I didn't die. My life was saved. And I remember that obviously at harvest time, because it was this time of the year all those years ago. All throughout my life, I've realised that God has been the rock. He's been my shield. He's been my fortress. He's been my deliverer. And so this morning, I want to encourage you, whatever you're going through and however you feel today, and you might be feeling great or you might be feeling down, I don't know how you're feeling, but God is the rock. He is your fortress. He is your deliverer. He's the one that you can stand on. He's your firm foundation beneath your feet. The Lord is my rock. God is my rock. Isn't that great? Bless you today. Have a great day, and we'll see you Sunday for Hope Church service. Take care.